Good morning, viewers. Today I am present before you with the topic themes used by T.S. Eliot. As we all know, that different writers of English literature, American literature, Canadian literature, Indian literature, they all use certain substantial themes in their work. And it is based on these themes that the work gets a beautiful structure. So, in today's podcast, I will be giving you a small note on what kind of themes T.S. Eliot employed in his works. Before I begin the podcast, it is advisable that you keep a notebook and a pen so that you can jot down the important points relating to this particular topic. It is further advisable to use earplugs for listening to the podcast. So here I begin. The themes in the poem of T.S. Eliot have been variously interpreted. Critics have found these themes illustrated even in his plays. Let us examine the major theme handled by Eliot. Redemption and possibility of spiritual rebirth. The one major theme in the poetry of Eliot is redemption of time and the possibility of spiritual rebirth. Basically, it is not different from the Christian conception of sin, atonement, redemption, and spiritual resurrection. It is equally allied to the rationalistic idea of science that nothing material is subject to utter destruction. Everything undergoes a transformation under the influence of time. Eliot saw the illustration of this idea even in the vegetation rituals and fertility rites of primitive cultures and the mystery religions of the ancient world, from which early Christianity absorbed so much of its own ritual and symbolism. The primitive imagination conceived of the cycle of the seasons as the life of a god who controlled the energies of nature and who nevertheless had to submit to the power of death. But the death was not permanent, it was followed by a resurrection. World is dictated by an order of a birth, growth, decay, and also the promise of a spiritual metamorphosis. All religions accept this cardinal law of nature when they accept the immortality of the human soul as the central tenet of religious belief. Mendel had made science subscribe to this view with his theory of heredity, where each gene finds for itself another abode in every alternative generation. The Sanskrit word putra means son, as one who saves his father from utter damnation in hell is that he carries the possibility of rebirth for his father. Psychologists have given their own explanation of this theme. Carl Jung explains the transformation in his own way. The transformation occurs to those who have reached a dead end in the field of conscious adaptation to external experience without, however, achieving any sense of fulfillment. There are therefore stores of unconscious psychic energy unutilized, while in the field of consciousness its creative function is exhausted. The result is the multitude of Mr. Prufrock, Madame Torquenist, in a condition of nervous disturbance. There are also the Gerontians who are in the torture of inquisition, who see their situation with merciless clarity but can find no way out of the cunning passages and contrived corridors. The presence of sterile degeneration and of the necessity of regeneration and change is the general truth behind it and its central theme. The Hollow Man mourns the case of the stuffed effigies in the Hollow Valley who group together and avoid speech, but there is the hope that the eyes may reappear as the perpetual star. The multifoliate rose of death's twilight kingdom. What Eliot commends in his early poems is a surrender to the symbolic death which may bring rebirth. In his later poetry, he was able to see the vision of the Lord who gave his own body to feed the people who died that they might live. Death by water is no simple surrender into hope of rebirth through baptism. The Sibyl's word, I wish to die, are an undercurrent all through the desire for a death that shall redeem. The Spirit. The possibility of spiritual rebirth is a constantly recurring theme in Eliot. He suggests a way to controlling and ordering and giving shape and significance to the immense panorama of futility and anarchy which is contemporary history. The poet is painfully aware of the imprisonment of his personal wasteland, that the possibility of rebirth cannot be dismissed as a historical anachronism, that the truth of the experience is eternally present, and that the living of it plunges the whole man into a process of disintegration and conflict. The necessity of regeneration and change is the general truth behind it and its central theme. There is indeed no assurance of this redemption, but there is at least the awareness that it is the only way out. The conclusion of the poems gives no assurance of any sort, but the basic symbol used in the poem is one of restoration into life, though after hazardous quests. The legend of the Holy Grail, which originated in fertility cult, tells how a questing knight saves the wasteland from drought and barrenness, occasioned by the old age of the ruler, known as the Fisher King. The knight must restore the latter's youth by riding to the chapel perilous and there questioning the lance and the grail, symbols of the male and female principles. Eliot's poem is an allegorical application of this story to modern society and religion. Our civilization is the wasteland. We can obtain youth and life giving rain only by journeying far, questioning our condition, and learning a hard lesson. To enforce his premise, Eliot uses symbols drawn from kindred myths and religions. In the process, what ironic pictures of modern manners, what superb mingling of satiric vulgarity and sensuous delicacy, what prophetic earnestness, and what variety of imagery and rhythm are revealed. So, we can say that however, Eliot was using many other themes apart from redemption and rebirth, but this proves to be a very important theme in the writing of T.S. Eliot, for he was writing in an age that was observing a constant degradation of values. Through the theme of redemption and possibility of spiritual rebirth, Eliot was to some extent in a position to offer to the readers a kind of a stuff which was needed at that particular hour. By reading the works of T.S. Eliot, we not only get to know the disintegrated value systems of the modern age, but at the same time, we also get a solution through them by traveling towards spiritual understanding and rebirth. So, this was a small note on the themes used by T.S. Eliot in his different works. I hope the podcast proved to be of help to each one of you. Please mention your questions and observations in the comment section below. Please do like, share and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to click on the bell icon for latest update. Thank you for your valuable time. Here's wishing you a great day ahead.